This video is for you if you would love nothing more, or you think you would love nothing more than for someone like me to tell you what your ex's next move is going to be. Every single day I get messages in my DMs with people telling me the details of their relationship circumstances and then essentially ending it with, what do you think they're going to do next? And I would say 95% of the time they are hoping I'm going to assume that they're hoping that I'm going to tell them something like, you're going to hear from your ex, you're going to hear from them at this point, or they're going to regret what they did, or something along those lines. Or at least, if it's not something positive, they want me to give them a framework with which they can have a sense of control or agency. And while I completely understand the desire for that type of information, for those answers, and I also know that there are, ex-back coaches out there, that is not what we're doing over here. My job is to empower you, and I think it would be irresponsible of me to try to give you the answer, one that I'm not going to be able to give you because I don't know your situation specifically, but the answer you think you want, because the majority of the time it's not actually what you want. And what you really want is to feel positive emotion. What you really want is to bypass pain. And your brain, especially after a perceived romantic rejection, you can look at the work of a woman named Dr. Helen Fisher, your brain is going to mimic that of someone withdrawing from an addictive substance potentially. So you quite literally might have the brain chemistry of an addict, and your brain is going to then use any sneaky means possible to try to focus on reconciliation rather than separation. And one of the primary ways it's going to do that is by pedestalizing your ex, demonizing yourself, obsessively focusing on the good, and just wanting them back as a source of relief. But a couple of things happen when we keep going down that road of putting all of our time and energy into what they're going to do, and to feeding the story that they're the one for you, and you're never going to feel that way about someone again, and you're always going to feel this level of pain. What happens when we feed that is two major things. One, we conveniently forget what wasn't working. Well, a couple major things. We conveniently forget what wasn't working about the relationship, which is almost guaranteed to repeat if nothing changes. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And so unless there has been substantial, long-term, consistent, deep work on what wasn't working in the relationship by both parties separately and then eventually together, you're going to end up most likely in the exact same cycle, and it's probably going to be even more painful. So that's one thing that happens. The other thing that happens is you're teaching your brain that you need another person in order for you to feel how you want to feel. And that is quite literally the most disempowering thing that we can do. So we're trying to create a sense of control and agency by having someone like me give you an answer, but you're actually taking your agency away because you're putting your power and you're putting all of your emotional health into the hands of another person. By the way, caveat, this is not your fault. You're not doing anything wrong. This is based on our nervous system and our programming. You're not choosing these feelings and what your brain is doing. You can choose it. That's what I do with my clients, but I'm definitely not by any means blaming you for the strategies that you are using. And then the last, and I think the most insidious thing that happens is when you go to someone, again, understandably, to get a specific answer about your specific circumstance, is you are missing a crucial opportunity to be a better thinker. My job with my clients is never to tell them what to do. As long as they are physically safe, the choices they make are completely up to them. I don't have skin in that game. My job is to help them be a better thinker. For example, I had a client this morning who basically was saying, my ex and I are working through things. They broke some promises, some commitments that they made. How do I get over that? And I hear that a lot because I do take on clients who are still kind of in that in-between phase. And it was interesting because this person was not considering the question, and this is very common, do I even want to be with someone who would do this? Instead, their thought process is just, how do I get over it? How do I brush it under the rug? How do I be more this or less this? How do I become okay with the way this other person operates, rather than do I want to be with someone who operates that way? And starting to redirect our thinking to something that does empower us and actually serves us and helps us answer the question, what else could be true? And then what? Or, why? Where does this come from, this opinion and all of that? Learning to do all of those things is going to be far more beneficial to you than me trying to make something up. So I hope that helps.